Welcome. In today's video, thanks to the Home Depot Seeds program, we're looking at the DREMEL Multimax MM20V oscillating tool. But wait, is this the same DREMEL that makes rotary tools? Yes, it is. The company was started in 1932 and specialized in rotary tools. They were acquired in 1973 by Emerson Electric. They have moved into glue guns, saw, sanders, butane, and even 3D printers. In 1993, the company was purchased by Bosch Tool Corporation. While DREMEL is still based in the United States, its tools are sourced from the world over. Just take a look at this label. The tool and attachments made in Mexico, accessories made in Switzerland, storage bag made in China, battery made in Malaysia, battery charger made in China. I still own this old-fashioned DREMEL rotary tool that was gifted to me, but find that I seldom use it because I don't have a hobby that involves working with models or remote control planes or boats, so I don't find that I really have much application for it. But an oscillating tool? Now that's a different story. Upon opening the box, you get a branded canvas bag that actually isn't your cheap giveaway bag. There's actually a frame in here that makes this a much better bag to have. Let's see what's inside. We get a manual for the charger, some kind of accessory plus more paperwork. This looks like it's the batteries, or battery, I should say. 3 blades. The tool itself, and it weighs probably 4 pounds. It's got a little heft to it. And finally, a charger, a no-nonsense charger. And yes, it can be mounted on a wall or sit on a desktop. The lithium 2 amp hour battery does come with a battery status indicator. With the charger plugged in, you get a green status light. The battery mounts on the top, slides in on a guide, and then you get a blinking light to indicate that the battery is charging. With no rubber legs on the bottom, the unit may tend to move around very easily. When the light finally stays green, simply slide off the battery. You're able to use that. Strange thing about this charger is it only has one color, green. So this tells you, 1, that this is receiving power. 2, that we just charged this battery. When it's flashing, it means that it's charging. But if you put a battery in and you get green, that means that there's something wrong with the battery. Either it's too hot or too cold, or maybe it's just no longer working. So instead of using colors, they just use green, which can be really confusing and is a bit short-sighted on their part. To attach our fresh battery, we simply slide it into position. You hear 1 click. That's not fully engaged. 1 more. Now the battery's attached and it won't move. Here's something interesting. Should the battery come loose, like it did right there, it doesn't drop out because of that first click that we heard. It just holds it in place, but the unit won't be powered. So it's actually a nice safety feature. Again, you slide on, 1 click, and that just locks it so it doesn't fall off. 2nd click. Now the unit can run the tool. This is the vacuum attachment that goes over the tool. You attach your workshop vacuum hose on this end, and then this picks up all the debris and dust that's generated during cutting. To attach a blade, we first need to remove the battery because you don't want this to start oscillating while you're trying to attach a very sharp instrument to it. What we need to do is turn this left until When we push on the blue button, we see the spindle come out, and now we take our blade, fit it over the spindle, line up with any of the holes that are there, and then you come back over here and you turn the knob until it comes to a full and complete stop. And now when I push down on the blue, the spindle does not protrude and the blade is locked in place. To remove the blade, we just simply do the opposite. Turn this knob all the way. Now when I push down on this blue, you will see that the spindle protrudes. And then the blade simply comes off. And you can attach any other blade you like, and you can even put them in different positions as long as they line up with the little pins that are underneath it. So you could do side cutting with it on either side. I've seen people even talk about putting it to the back, though I don't think on this particular unit that would be wise. Let's see, will it lock? Yes, it will lock. But your hand's down here. And that's where the blade is. That's just uncomfortably close. Even if you were trying to come back and try to do a cut like this, I don't know that that would be your best option. Standard features include an on and off switch, which is independent of the variable speed control, which goes from 10 down to 1. Most of the cutting is going to be between 6 and 10. Your sanding is going to be a little bit lower. Of course, there's no sanding attachment that came with this. That's an option that you'd have to buy. The tool does have a molded on grip on top and underneath, and comes with no LED lighting. You have exhaust ports for the motor, side, and top. We already know the multitude of things that we can do with this oscillating tool, so there's no point in showing you that it can cut a nail or go into some dry wood. Instead, I'm going to take this 6-inch log and see if we can make something out of it using an oscillating tool. We've attached the wood cutting blade. We've engaged our battery. And now I'm going to put on some gloves and we're going to start cutting into that log. One of the nice things about this tool is you can do what's called a plunge cut, which is just cutting into a solid piece of wood without coming in from the edge. But you should tilt the blade so that it starts in one corner and then comes across the rest of the blade surface. Also, I've discovered that if you score the area, it helps the cut even better. You'll also notice that there's very little sawdust. Due to the fact that the blade is oscillating instead of going up and down, you generate a lot less particles. I was just creating little headlights when it died. Just under about 50 minutes of runtime. Not too bad. Wish it was a little bit longer. You know, we weren't constantly running the unit, so I'd say we were probably running it 70% of the time that we were going through that hour. But still, not too bad. Obviously, if you're cutting nails or doing some baseboard or drywall, you can certainly get that done and still have plenty of run time left over, unless you're doing an entire building. Not too shabby for small size battery that it is. With the exception of the wheels and trenching out the cockpit, everything else was done with the Dremel. It's not a very fast tool. You sort of just guide it along and let it do the cutting. If you feel vibration, that means you're pushing it too hard and you need to ease off. But it will allow you to do detail work. You can even shave wood with it. The only thing I wish this had that it doesn't is just a light up front for like when you're working indoors and you're in a dark corner trying to do maybe some molding. But other than that, I really like the tool. I thought it would be too heavy, but it actually turns out to be just the right weight. It's solid and big enough that it's not a toy, but it's not so heavy that it's a burden to use. I would imagine maybe if you're using it overhand, then that weight could get to be a liability. But as far as working horizontally or vertically on some wood, it seems to be very good and easy to handle. So battery life, under an hour is what I've discovered, which is fine for most of the stuff that I'll be doing. Obviously, you could add another battery. It not only accepts the DREMEL battery, but it also takes Bosch batteries. It's all explained in the manual, so at least read that part of the manual. While this DREMEL comes with 3 blades, wood, carbide, and bimetal, it's always good to check to make sure that it's not a proprietary blade and that you can use something like this, which are universal oscillating blades. While the blades can look similar, we got to make sure that they actually fit. So of course we disengage the battery, attach to the tool, make sure that it aligns properly. And this does not fit on this tool. So these blades may be universal, but it appears that the blades that this DREMEL uses are proprietary. Again, let me grab a different one. In a phone conversation with DREMEL, they tell me that the universal blades that fit Bosch, Rockwell, and Milwaukee should fit their DREMEL tool. Now, this Arrow kit says that it will fit Bosch, DREMEL, Rockwell, but if we look at the blade design, we see that this one is circular, then it goes straight, whereas the DREMEL one is almost a complete circle. And it's that back circle here that enables the spindle to catch this and hold the blade in place, whereas this one, the spindle, is not able to catch here or here because it doesn't curve in, it just goes straight. So folks at DREMEL are really nice. They're gonna send me some spare blades, which I think is really sweet of them. And they told me that there are universal blades from other manufacturers that should fit their tool, though other than the fact that it's 35 millimeter, which is the same for this blade, there's no other specifications to help you size-wise. So it may necessitate you going in with one of your DREMEL blades to make sure that whatever universal you pick up will fit your DREMEL. Overall, I've been impressed with the quality of the tool. I like the fact that you don't have to wait for the battery to be fully charged in order to use it again. You can take it off and throw it back on the charger at any time, and as long as there's enough juice to run, it will. I noticed that unlike some other lithium-powered devices, this will stop, but then if you cycle the trigger, it'll start up again and it'll run a little bit longer until it gets to that threshold. So the threshold seems to be a little bit wide on this one, where with most other lithium-powered tools, when you get to that point where the battery's depleted, it just shuts down and that's it. You don't get anything more regardless of how many times you hit the power switch. That's not the case with this. You can get a little bit longer. So if you're almost done with a project, it's kind of nice that you have maybe 30 or so seconds left that you can run with. Switching the blades is my favorite thing. Just turn the knob, push the button, boom, pop out a blade, pop in a new one. Now, you don't have to deal with wrenches, and that's really nice, especially coming from the DREMEL rotary tools that always needed a tool to get a bit on. So overall, really happy with this. Definitely can recommend this DREMEL oscillating tool. If you found this video interesting or useful, give us a thumbs up, join the subscription team, leave us a comment, and as always, thank you so much for watching.